Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Thank you all for joining us. It is National School Breakfast Week and also just a very special day as we are going to be soon visiting Farmer Ashley up at Stockwell Dairy in Hudson, Indiana for our first virtual farm tour of 2025. So we're very excited about this one. My name is Brooke Williams. I'm the Director of Communications for the American Dairy Association Indiana, working on behalf of about 700 dairy farms in the state of Indiana, and always happy when we can feature one on a virtual farm tour. So thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned, National School Breakfast Week this week, and we have a lot of schools tuning in today to join this tour. About 130 classrooms, over 2,400 students, and we have students visiting us today from the great state of Indiana, where we are all based, but also we have friends in Missouri, Ohio, all the way to New Mexico, Texas, even a school in California joining us this morning. So thank you for waking up with us, starting your day to learn more about what happens on a dairy farm, and particularly on a dairy farm in the great state of Indiana. If you have any questions throughout this virtual farm tour, as you're learning more about a baby calf all the way up to a full-size cow, and everything that Ashley is going to be telling us. Down, if you're joining us on Zoom, there's a Q&A box at the bottom. Go ahead and click that. Type in a question. I will be monitoring those throughout the tour. If you're joining us on YouTube, you can comment there as well. And if you also want to do something fun, for those of you that have already checked out, we have a scavenger hunt available on our website that you can follow along and play a little game with your class as Ashley's explaining what happens on a dairy farm, or if you see something fun that's mentioned there on that scavenger hunt, just check it off. But always great information at winnersdrinkmilk.com. So after today's farm tour, if you have any questions about dairy farming, or if you want to be a dairy farmer, winnersdrinkmilk.com is a great way for you to get in contact with us. But without further ado, we are going to meet Farmer Ashley, as I mentioned, up in Hudson, Indiana. If you're from the state of Indiana, you might know where Fort Wayne is. Ashley's just a little bit north of Fort Wayne. So we are happy to learn more about her farm, how she got into dairy farming with her in-laws. And so Ashley, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Take it away.
Good morning, everyone. So as Brooke said, we are a dairy farm here in Northeast Indiana, here in Hudson, Indiana. I married into this dairy farm. So we are a third generation dairy farm here. My husband's grandparents started the farm in 1958. My mother and father-in-law took this over, and now my husband and I are continuing it with our four kids, which are the fourth generation. So shout out to Connor, Kyra, Carter, and Cooper, who I think are watching this morning. So that's a little bit about our dairy farm here. We are starting here in the calf barn, and so you can see we have calves behind me. We call this Grandma's calf barn for the fact that Kyle's grandma used to come over and take care of all of the calves every day until she couldn't anymore. So we've officially named the barn Grandma's Barn. In here, these are our baby calves. So they start in individual pens here, as you can see, for the first few weeks of their lives, and we keep them in individual pens just to keep them safe from each other, to prevent viruses from spreading, and keeping them healthy so they can become adult cows and produce milk for us. And so with that, you can kind of see on our calf barn what this looks like. We have curtains on the side, just kind of the way the structure of the barn is. When it gets warm, we lift those curtains up so that way air ventilates through and doesn't get hot in this barn. You can see the top curtains right now are up. We've had some nice weather here in Indiana, and so we've pulled those up a little bit. And in the winter, they're all the way down to keep the cows warm, or keep the calves warm. You know, when it does get really cold, we do have little cute blankets for the calves that we put on all of them, but today is not one of those days where they need blankets. So that is kind of a little bit about our calf barn here. When we feed them. It's important to be consistent on their feed morning and night. And so just like we all eat breakfast, they eat breakfast as well. When they're little like this, they get milk every morning and night. And then when they do start to get a little bit bigger, we start to introduce them into food. So if you think and relate to yourselves as a baby, you drink milk. Calves drink milk as well. As you grow up, they start to give you baby food and toddler food per se. And so that's kind of what we do to our calves as well, is we give them some transitional food. So as they get bigger, they're able to eat and digest that. And then when they do go to another calf pen behind me, they will get what we almost call, it's like that middle of the road food before they're not quite an adult calf or adult cow, but food wise, they're transitioning into that. So um,
How many calves do you have, Ashley?
so this barn holds roughly 100 calves, and right now we're probably about 60.
And
So
then what about overall? How many cows do you guys have on your dairy farm?
yeah, so right now we're milking about 750 cows. But we currently raise our cat or our all of our cows on here, replacements and everything. So all calves and heifers stay on here until they become a cow and we start milking them. So roughly we have over 1,000 cows here on our farm right now.
And I noticed they are primarily black and white cows. Is
They
that
are,
the breed that you have as a Holstein, or do you guys have other breeds on your
we
farm as
do,
well?
we have mostly Holstein. We do have started incorporating some Jerseys. And you'll see in this calf pen here that we're looking at. So this is where we go from individual calf pens where they are born in, as babies, and then they move into this bigger pen here. You'll start to see we have, some Holstein, or black and white Holsteins. We have some red and white Holsteins, and then we also have these fun-looking ones here um, that look. Uh, they're kind of spotted. This guy right here, his name is Milkshake. He's actually a Holstein British White Cross. So he's one of our actually friendly 4-H calves, but we have a few of those as well. So
Do you guys ever have a favorite calf on your farm?
right now I would say there are 4-H calves, our favorite. So we have
Yeah.
we had Buttermilk. She's now or she will be a milking cow. And then now we have our calves that we don't name very many of them because they get these fun things called ear tags. So we can keep track of them. So the next calf to be born their name will be 5729. You can see they're born on Stockwell Farms here. So just as each of you guys have a name, our calves have a name. Um, our bull calves here for 4-H are a little different. My son has named his calves, but all the other ladies on our farm have a name with their ear tag. And then they also, as they transition into this pen, they get what we call an RFID tag. So that RFID tag is a national naming system. So that way, if the calves or cows were to move from our farm and go other places, then that way they can be tracked accordingly. And as they get older and we start milking these cows, then they go into our parlor and that RFID tag in their ear registers to our computer system and it allows us to track how much milk each cow is producing in each milking and allows us to better get an understanding of how that cow is doing.
We do have a question. Someone is asking, what are the calves eating? What is in that bucket of feed?
Yeah, so this is a feed here that is specific to cows. It's got a lot of different vitamins and minerals in it. It looks like a little pellet because it is. So this is what I would consider your toddler food or your baby food for calves. And then once they get older and they move out of the calf barn and they go into some of our other pens, then they start getting some corn and haylage and different things like that into their diets.
Yeah. And as Ashley mentioned, the calves are eating breakfast, and I had mentioned this is National School Breakfast Week. So we do have a question for all of you that are joining us today. We want to know where you typically eat your breakfast. And the poll question should be popping up on your screen here in a second. But we want to know, do you typically eat your breakfast at home? Do you eat it in the classroom? Are you eating it in the cafeteria? Um, we're going to fix the poll question real quick. Are you eating it in the gym or are you just always on the go? So I think a question for students to answer, if you're an adult, your answer may look a little differently. I try to eat my breakfast at home, but more times than not, I'm eating on the go. But if you want to go ahead and it's a multiple choice, you can hit a couple different answers there. We'll give you a second to answer and then we'll show the results of the poll. Our dairy farmers would all agree breakfast is a very important part of the day, and everyone should incorporate some sort of dairy into that breakfast, whether it's milk on your cereal, a smoothie. And it looks like a good portion of you all, 71% are eating at home, 40% are eating in the classroom, 31% in the cafeteria, and 17% on the go. We were just in a classroom this week or in a school this week that was doing a breakfast in the classroom program, and that's pretty cool to see. So thank you for sharing that. And we are going to move on. Ashley, do you have anything else you'd like to say about the calves, or are you going to move over to the freestall barn?
I think we can move over to the Freestall barn.
Okay. And if you want to talk as you're walking, maybe explain to people who have never been on a farm what exactly is a freestall barn.
Yeah, so a freestall barn, well, you can see, seen in the calf barn, there's individual pins here that keep the calves separately. When we go to a freestall barn, it's all open and there's different, basically what I'd call like different individual beds they can lay in as they rest. But it's very open so that way they can get exercise and roam and move as they please.
Mhm. And also, I should have asked you, did you eat breakfast this morning?
I did eat breakfast. I actually had a shake because as a busy mom, farmer, and everything else, I live life on the go, but I put milk in my shake.
As you should. Good job. All right. So as we're moving on to the freestall barn, we do have a question. Someone is asking, how much food does the farm go through on a daily basis for the cows?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say, man, our feed mixer mixes feed for all of the groups of cows several times a day. Um, and I don't actually know how much food we go through on a day.
A lot.
So it's a lot,
Yeah.
feeding 750 cows plus. Yeah, I mean, a cow roughly eats 100 pounds of food a day. So if you do that math for 750 cows, and then we have all the calves we feed and provide milk to and grain to on a regular basis, it's a lot of feed.
Yes. And then we have a question from Meredith Nicholson, School 96. A student is asking, how much feed does a calf eat for breakfast? So again, might be kind of hard to estimate, but probably more than you and I are eating for breakfast.
Yeah, they get a couple, we have a bucket of milk that they get every morning. And so I can show you kind of what the milk looks. It goes in a bucket like this. And then it's filled roughly to here, depending their age. That's really how much milk they're getting in the mornings. So, and then they also, again, the first few weeks they only get milk. As they get a little bit older, then we do start to give them some calf, what we call calf pellets that has all the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients in it, and some water before they transition into that other bigger pin that were at earlier.
Good. And then it looks like we're getting a question from one of Connor's classmates, Ashley, who wants to know why your family chose to have a dairy farm instead of beef cattle.
You know what? That's a great question. I think it's just Kyle's grandpa started the dairy farm back in 1958. I think he started milking about 19 cows at the time. And since then, the family really just fell in love with dairy cows. And that's what we've continued to grow and love and do. And so we like producing that nutritious milk that everybody in the world can drink.
Good answer. How many hours a day do cows rest in a day?
You know, that's a good question that I don't actually have the answer to.
I know
They
we've
do
been
have
on,
the leisure. They do have the leisure to
yeah.
rest whenever they want. I can tell you that much. And you'll see that when we go into the freestall barn. But I don't actually have the number of hours that they truly do rest.
Yes, I know other farmers will say that the cows are kind of ladies of leisure, that they get to rest whenever they want, which is just a nice lifestyle to have, really. Um,
For sure.
and then let's see, just looking through the questions. These are all great questions. Thank you so much. Somebody is asking, what time do you get up to milk the cows, or what time does Kyle or other family members get up to milk the cows?
Yeah, so we are because we are a large dairy and we do have some family members that milk, we also have 9 other employees that milk for us or work for us. And so they are currently milking around the clock. So 24/7, our cows are being milked. There's about 2 hours a day where they aren't being milked, and that's because they're washing down the parlor at 2 different times. But other than that, they're milking around the clock.
Okay, and then it looks like we are going to put up another question for everyone. Now that we know that everyone is eating breakfast, we have a question of what are some benefits to eating breakfast? So you can choose between better concentration, increased school attendance, improved academic performance, or all of the above. And as you're answering, you can see there, Ashley's gonna move locations and show us all the Freestall barn, where the cows will look a little bigger than they just did. And we'll try and get through as many of your questions that you are submitting there as well. You can see it's a little gloomy on the farm this morning. Um, That's right. So for those of you that did all of the above, that is correct. So eating breakfast will lead to better concentration, increased school attendance, improved academic performance. That is all correct. So there's a lot of research that shows that when you eat breakfast, you're going to be a better student, which is one of the many reasons why eating breakfast is so important to our dairy farmers. And making sure that you can start your day with a portion of protein. And if you're in school, 1 carton of milk, whether it's white or chocolate milk, has 8 grams of protein and 13 essential nutrients. So just like Ashley was explaining about the importance of food for the cows and getting all those nutrients, you guys too can get all that from a 1 serving of dairy. So Ashley, as you're continuing to walk, it's a little jaunt from the calves to the freestall barn.
It is a little jaunt, and I'm not sure if you can see, but we are a live operating farm. So we have skid loaders and everything moving while we are walking to the calf barn.
We
Or
can put
not to the calf barn, the freestall
the
barn.
freestall barn. Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Another question for
Or do
you.
you want to?
How many acres is the dairy farm?
So we currently are farming around 1,100 acres with the cows. And most of that we farm, we produce most of it is, or the crops from that is how we feed our cows. So we're walking through one of the barns now, but you can see here that these cows are much bigger than the calves we saw previously. In this barn, most of these cows are actually pregnant and just enjoying life. They just got fed, and so you can see that some of them are resting in the back and some of them are up to eat, but they do have the leisure to do whatever they prefer when they want.
The camera is trying to focus in there. It's a little bit blurry, but we can see the all the feed there right in front of the cows that they have access to. And then Ashley, I know your farm, like many other dairy farms, you guys use a nutritionist. Do you want to talk about that?
We do. So we use a nutritionist, and because I am the rookie milk presenter this year, I can use some stuff here. But just as the Indian 500 drivers have a pit crew for their drivers, we have what we would call like a pit crew here for our cows. So our cows have a nutritionist that um, creates specific diets for these ladies to eat that will be nutritious and delicious for them to produce the most quality milk that we can out of the cows for all of you guys to enjoy. And then we also have a veterinarian that comes and sees our cows every single week. So just as you guys all have doctors you see or pediatricians that you see, and they keep health records on you, we keep health records on our cows. And if we notice something's off, they get a visit from the vet every single week here to make sure that they're in the best health that they can be in. And then we also have we call a hoof trimmer. So every week our hoof trimmer comes and gives our cows what we call pedicures. So if you can only imagine going to get a pedicure every week, I mean, I want to, and I don't, but my cows get it. So, but yeah.
And then another fun fact that I think is cool is that cows can eat a lot of food that humans don't typically eat. And some of those things would be like the orange peel, or rinds from melons. So I don't know if you have anything you'd like to share about that aspect as well.
Yeah, so we said that our cows are the perfect like upcyclers in our industry because they eat a lot of the food that would end up in landfills or waste that we can't eat. Our cows can eat, and it's really good and nutritious for them. And so we are helping preserve the planet and the world by feeding our cows that food that would normally end up in landfills and then just fill up, and who knows what would happen to it.
Yeah. And I did see too that a cow will eat about 100 pounds of feed each day. So whoever's delivering that feed has a busy job to do throughout the day.
So one thing you'll notice here as Allie is zooming in here, our cows wear what we call a cow monitoring system. And so just as some of you guys wear watches or things on your arms to track your steps in your health. Like I know my watch that I wear tracks my heart rate, how well I sleep, my steps, my exercise, and everything in between. These cow monitoring systems that are on the cow's necks do the same thing for cows. So we're able to closely monitor them from a health standpoint. How active are they? Do they need to be treated or seen by a vet? Do we need to treat them for anything, or making sure they're in the perfect, best health that they can be. So we have these that monitors them and allows them to live a pretty happy, fulfilling life. So thanks to technology, this has allowed us to look at things differently with our cows and work differently with them. So you can see too here in this barn, here's our freestall barn. So this is one of our bigger barns here on the farm. The curtains here, we have curtains just like we did in the calf barn. They are not up yet. It takes a little bit more effort to open these curtains than it does our calf barn. But once we start getting nicer weather here consistently here in Indiana, we'll open up the curtains, and then, they'll have a nice good airflow in here. When it does get hot, we have fans that keep the cows comfortable all throughout the barn. And that really cools the barn down. We have ventilation up top that again helps with all of that. And so really, even when it gets really hot outside, it's really not as hot in here because of all the air movement with the fans and the open curtains. And then the garage doors or the doors on each end of the barn are also opened up. So while we don't have our curtains opened up, we do have at least most of the doors are open up to get the cows some fresh air right now, since it is getting nicer here in Indiana. So Some of the stuff the cows eat, you can see here in this mixture. This is all mixed together, and we have a feeder that comes and feeds the cows a couple times a day. In this, we have what we call corn silage. We have some cottonseed. We have some premix, and then we have some gluten. So really what that is in the premix, a lot of protein. For the cow, it's got bean meal, vitamins, minerals, and fiber to help them. And so here's your, here's your premix that has all of the vitamins and nutrients in it. So you can see just, how fine it is. And there's some pellets too that help with all of that. Here's our cottonseed. So it's a lot of fiber. We get a lot of fiber from fruits and vegetables and things of the like. Well, this is kind of that way for cows. And then we also have here corn silage. This is like their energy for the cows to eat. And provides fulfilling nutrients for them. And we also have a gluten here. It's gluten, but it's protein for the cows. So, we think of protein in a lot of usually meats, sometimes some beans and stuff, but that's how cows get their protein here on our farm. So
I have a lot of questions coming in. If I can do like a rapid fire with you.
absolutely go for it.
How many people does it take to operate the farm?
Yeah, so there are 13 employees on our farm. 9 of those are not family, and then there's 4 of us that are family. So my mother-in-law and father-in-law still do some stuff on the farm, and then my husband and I, and then we have, like I said, 9 other employees that come and operate the farm for us on a regular basis and milk all the cows.
And then can newborn calves walk the same day that they're born?
They can, and we have an audience here today on the farm. We don't always have that, and we had a cow that was freshly born this morning, and that was one of the questions that I got asked here too is, can they walk right away? And in fact, they can. So it's a pretty cool thing that we can't walk as humans, but calves can as soon as they're born.
And then this is a good one. How long does it take a calf to become a cow?
Um, yeah, that's a few years. They, I can't tell you the exact months. We operate in months here. How many months until they become a cow? I want to say it's roughly 2 to 2.5 years once they start actually have their first baby and start producing milk on our farm.
And then how much does a calf typically weigh when they're born?
I would say roughly somewhere between 70 to 90 pounds. We have some that are smaller, some that are bigger, but usually in that ballpark, it's how much they weigh.
And who would be a faster runner, you or a cow?
I can tell you right now, I've chased cows and I am not faster than them. They are fast. They look big and slow, but those things can run.
And then a question about the ear tags. Does it hurt the cow when the ear tags go in?
I would just compare it to, an ear piercing. So if any of you guys before, that's what I would consider that feeling to be. So it's just a small pinch, but nothing that causes pain to them in an inordinate amount
Yeah.
of pain.
And then here's a good question when we talk about just being a farmer and what it means to care for the cows, the land, and the community. Someone's asking, how do you protect the land and water?
Yeah, absolutely. So our land, some things that are unique to us on our farm and our land is we double crop. And so one of the things that's important is that we can take care of the land and the nutrients. And so we do a double crop or cover crop. So in the winter, there's crops on the ground or planted, and then we harvest them in the spring or utilize them. And then again, throughout the summertime that you guys are usually used to seeing crops out. We also have a pretty good nutrient management system. And so we know exactly what fields and when to apply manure. So that way we're making sure that we do take care of the land because it's important to us that we take care of the land that our farm can continue to be around and survive for generations in the future and that our cows are getting good quality feed throughout all of it.
Yeah. which leads to a cow's life and their livelihood. A lot of questions wondering how long does a cow live and where do cows go when their time of milking has passed?
Yeah, so I mean, they live on our farm roughly probably 6 years, I would say. Um, when a cow hopefully makes it to the time where we don't have to put the cow down, but they can make it, we'll sell them and they go and then become beef in usually restaurants. So you guys are still all eating them.
And then another question, where do the cows go on your farm to get milked and how do they get milked?
Yeah, so they go from this barn that we're in, and then we have a nice pathway that they go to the parlor, and they go to the parlor 3 times a day. So we milk 3 times a day here on our farm. And then we have a milking system that kind of the claws drop down, and then we have employees in there, and they prep all the teats on the cows and make sure that those are smooth and clean. And then they hook up the machine to their udder and to the teats, not really to their udder, to the teats, and they milk them that way. And then once they're done, the machine or the system automatically knows when the cow's done milking and the milker falls off. We dip them again, and they come back here to rest and relax and do what they want to do for their life here in the barn.
Nice.
Yeah, they are usually, and they only really takes about 10 minutes to milk them. And so if you think about that, they're milking 3 times a day. So that's really only 30 minutes, a half hour out of their time of each day that they're actually getting milked. So they got 23 and a half hours really to rest, eat, really do whatever they want here in the barn. We have a crew here right here, so you can't really see, but behind these cows here, you can see that there's plenty laying down. So we bed here on our farm with sand. If you can imagine going to the beach and it's the world's softest sand, that's really what we have for our cows. So we like to say that our cows have a pretty comfy lifestyle because they get to lay on the beach every day. And there's plenty of them resting right now, and they look fairly comfortable. They don't look unhappy. So
And then Ashley, can you tell us, a couple of them are marked there with red.
yeah.
Can you talk about why they have that marking?
Yep. So we come through with a vet. I can't tell you for sure right now. I'm sorry, but there's pink and orange out here. So one color means that they're pregnant, and one color means that we have just bred them so that they can become pregnant. And so I wish I could tell you we used to use pink and green, and I knew that. Pink meant they were not pregnant, and green meant that they were pregnant. And so I'm guessing probably right now orange means that they're pregnant and pink means they're not, but
Yeah.
that's what those markings mean.
And then I'm going to put up one more question here. And the question is a true or false, as we're talking about milk and how milk goes from a farm into a lot of cafeterias. The question is about flavored milk, like chocolate or strawberry. Does it deliver the same 13 essential nutrients as unflavored milk or white milk? It's simple, true or false. So if classes want to answer that question. Just a couple years ago, it went from 9 essential nutrients up to 13. So more discovery and more reason to have some milk. But we want to put up the results there, and I can just go ahead and tell you that the answer is true. So even if it's chocolate or strawberry milk, it's the same amount of protein. It's the same 13 essential nutrients. It might just, for some people, just taste a little better. And we also often get the question too of brown cows are the ones that produce the chocolate milk. And I think Ashley would agree that that is not true, that they do not produce chocolate milk.
They do not, but it is fun to tease people that they do if they've never been to a farm.
We did get a question, Ashley, talking about milk going from your farm into a processing facility to become the milk that we consume within about 48 hours. It goes to a grocery store. But what is one thing that a farmer does to make sure their milk is safe before transporting it to that processing plant?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Here on our farm, we make sure that the milk goes into what we call a bulk tank, which is where all the milk is stored before it goes to the semi to go to the processing plant. Before our milk goes into or before our milk gets transported from the bulk tank to the semi trailer, we test every load that leaves this farm just to make sure it's safe and nutritious for everybody else. If for some reason something came back where it wasn't, we dump the milk and it never leaves our farm. And so we want to make sure that we're providing the best nutritious milk to all of you guys.
Yeah. A couple other just fun questions that have come in before we conclude. Have you guys ever had a cow that has tried to run away?
Yes, we used to have a countdown on how many days our cows stayed in the barn, but we have had cows that do like to escape or are master escapees that like to wander into the fields, and we do have to bring her home back to where she belongs. And that's
And
really for her safety.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which was also, we got a question asking if the cows are ever in danger, if there are any other animals that come onto your property or do anything.
We don't. Ours are, I mean, we will watch. We also have a lot of hunters that take care of things in the area, but we don't really have any animals that come up close to us. And so it is something though that we do watch for because we are milking 24/7. We have employees out all the time and there's constant movement that usually scares any critters off that shouldn't be near the farm. And so our ladies here are usually pretty safe 99% of the time. I would say 100% of the time, but most, yeah, you just, it's a farm.
Yeah. And then another question, do you guys have any other animals other than cows?
We don't. We have a dog. That's, our farm dog. We actually have three of them, but one was out here and she's gone. So, or she's not around right now. I can't show you. Can't meet Marley, but we have Marley, Gus, and I can't think of my other dog's name. It's my mother-in-law's dog all of a sudden. We call him Rico, but that's not his name. Garth. Sorry, Garth. So we have Garth, Marley, and Gus, but those are other animals. Other than that, we just love cows. So we have lots of cows around here.
Yes, which is good. It's a good sign of a dairy farmer. Let's see, one more question. As you were taking us from the calves to the other barn, there were a couple other different buildings on the property. Do you guys just have the Freestall barn and the calf barn, or are there other places on the farm where cows live?
No, so we came through another barn on our way up to this big barn. This is the biggest barn that we have on this farm currently. And then we also have three other barns outside of this, so four total barns that hold our milking cows. So you walk through that. We also walk through where they walk to go to the parlor. Um, and I think we did walk by the parlor. So I'm not sure if we saw that on video or not, but
Yeah.
that is one of them. So
And then the last question for you is, what is your favorite thing about being a dairy farmer?
I think my favorite thing about being a dairy farmer is being able to farm with our family. We get to spend quality time together. We get to raise our four kids on the farm, which I think they can each attest to the fact that they love just being outside and being with the cows. And so that's really, I think that's what I would say I love the most is that's a unique perspective that not everybody gets a chance to do. And I'm thankful that our family gets to do that with our family gets to continue to do that on third generation farm, but then also that we get to do it as a family.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And as Ashley casually mentioned there, she will be on race day at the Indianapolis 500. Ashley has the amazing opportunity to present milk to the winning team owner and chief mechanic of the Indy 500 drivers. So if you're watching the race, look in winner's circle or on victory podium for a cow print hat and there's a good chance it's Ashley there. So thank you everyone for joining us. And if you want more information on dairy farming, Indiana dairy farming in particular, winnersdrinkmilk.com. But we are so glad you could join us today, and we hope you all have a good day and drink some milk. Winners drink milk. Thank you.